Good afternoon. It's 5 p.m. and time for the regular scheduled June 4th, 2024 meeting of the Natchez Parish School Board Committee as a whole. Board members and visitors, please silence your cell phones and electronic devices as not to interrupt the meeting. We have a long-standing tradition of having a roll call before the meeting. We're going to honor that this time. Ms. Robles, can we have a roll call?
I got something on my screen that won't go off. Mr. Danzy?
Here.
Mr. McGuire?
Here.
Mr. Benefield?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Present.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Here.
Ms. Palmer?
Here.
Ms. Phelps?
Here.
Ms. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Fredo?
Here.
Mr. Nicholson?
Here.
And Ms. Page?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Board members and members of the audience, would you please stand? We generally reserve these type of recognitions for board night, which will be next Tuesday night, but we felt fitting that it would be more appropriate to do tonight. We have Miss Linda Wallace, who's recently passed away, a long-term teacher at Weaver Elementary, and she did a great job for us, lots of years of service, and really appreciate Miss Wallace. We also have had someone that just passed away recently. The wake is tonight from 5 to 9 and the funeral tomorrow. His name is Elmer P. Carter. So if you call him Elmer P. Carter, you wouldn't know who you get. His name is Bobby for everybody in Natchez Parish. Bobby drove a school bus for the Natchez Parish School for 50 years, just shy of 50 years. That's commitment. He didn't have to drive. Everybody in the south end of the parish knew Bobby Carter, especially his students. To him, he was Uncle Bobby, every one of those students. Uncle Bobby was a true Southern gentleman. He helped any and everyone, and we'd like to take a moment to recognize these two individuals. Thank you very much. Have a seat. Okay, Superintendent.
Yes, sir. So I'm going to give the updates after the fact, because I think what the majority of people are here tonight for is our Student of the Year recognition. So if you also look under the superintendent report, the Reset Tech presentation, we've reorganized with the help of Pastor Harris. And then also the 4-H presentation will be next Tuesday, because I gave the wrong date to Ms. Pierce. That was on me. So I would like to turn it over to Ms. Anita Dubois, and she's going to be kind of our Masters of Ceremony for the Student of the Year recognition.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming out in this horrible weather. I appreciate that, to honor our kids. This is probably the most rewarding part of my job, is doing Student of the Year. And we have such wonderful young people and such wonderful parents. And I do appreciate you all, appreciate the schools for the support and the cooperation that they give me every year. I also want to thank all of my judges who every year donate 2 or 3 days of their time to me to judge the Student of the Year competition for me. Also would like to thank my sponsors, BOM, Peggy's Pizza, and Mr. Dwayne Gillette with Vaughn Chevrolet. So I want to say those thanks before we get started. Dr. Eloy, would you like to come help me?
Yes, ma'am, I would. And I guess Mr. Shanahan's not here tonight to take pictures of us all.
No, I did email me. So, all right, we'll start with the 5th grade Students of the Year. These are the school level winners, okay? 5th grade. So, Darnay Deshaun Bates Jr. from East Natchez.
And we're going to pose for a quick picture of parents in the audience. So congratulations. Look that way. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Rachel Evangeline Key, NSU ELAB.
Congratulations.
Tiger Raylan Killingsworth, go Donna.
Feel free to get as close as you want.
He doesn't like much, sorry.
Smile. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Gabrielle Alexis Lee, Natchitoches Magnet. I'll make sure she gets it. Abram J. Strider, Fairview Alpha. Kennedy Estelle Starks, Provençal.
Congratulations.
Landry Strahan, Waterville.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, fifth graders. Now we'll move on to the eighth grade student school level winners. Ashlyn Marie Broadway, Provençal. Jasmine Albany Butler Carpenter, Natchitoches Magnet. Shania Davidson, Natchitoches Junior High School.
Congratulations. You got it?
Anthony Isaiah Giannani Flores, Goldana. And Valentina Della Faulkner from NSU Middle. He is not able to be here. His dad called me. So I'll check. Logan Maddox Rachel, Lakeview, 8th grade. Lily Warner, Marthaville.
You want one, Mr. Gordon?
Wow, there we go. Thank you.
That's our 8th graders. Now on to our 12th grade of student school level winners. Molly Claire Coleman, Natchitoches Central High School. Ariel Dane Joseph, Lakeview. David Troy Lewis Jr., MPTCC. Okay, after we interview all the my judges interview the students. We unfortunately have to pick 3 overall winners. Every one of you are winners, so trust me.
I never got
You're all
through
great. But so our overall winners, our elementary student of the year for Natchitoches Parish School Board for this year is Rachel Key, NSU Elementary Lab School. Parish School Board this year is Jasmine Carpenter. And our high school student of the year, Miss Molly Coleman, Natchitoches Central High School. Congratulations, thank you parents, thank you principals, thank you all for your support, we appreciate you.
Thank you too, Ms. DuBois. And parents, thank y'all for coming out this weather. It means a lot to you, to us, it means a lot to your students. Thank y'all.
And you're more than welcome to stay. Board, if y'all allow, I'm going to let the folks move out, and then I'll give you the updates for the superintendent. I think all we're left with is Mr. Terry.
And then I told her, and then I told her you were speaking about this.
All right, board, just a few minor updates for the June superintendent report. Summer school has gotten off to a great start. I measured that by the fact that we have close to around 1,000 students, and we've received little or no concerns about busing, and very few concerns about the registration process. So far, so good. I got kudos to the teaching and learning team who really pushed summer school and has taken that on. They've done a wonderful job, and we will go for the entirety of June, Monday through Thursday, with a day off on Juneteenth, and then we'll move on to July where we're completely off. Wanted to mention today something that I've been alluding to for a little while. Ms. Ramona Widener has been in partnership with the Office of Community Services concerning a grant that we were asking them to proceed with because it has to go through them, not us. And that is for the opportunity to have foster grandparents. And that is something that they have now been successful in doing. And we will now enter into an MOU with them to provide the ability for those foster grandparents to come onto our school campuses and work in a myriad of ways with our students and our staff to just give another level of folks who can help with our youth and mentor and be there in a way that only I think grandparents can. So that's something I'm really interested in, or really excited about rather. We had a wonderful meeting today. As y'all are probably aware, we have reorganized some of our personnel, and we've created a new department through reorganization, not through addition. And in that reorganization, Ms. Felicia Pinkney is now our Director of Student Services. She is no longer Director of Educational Operations. We've dissolved that position. And today we had a fabulous meeting with the sheriff, law enforcement. Ms. Reba was there as well. The DA, who am I missing? NSU Police, Chief Collins, with City Police. We've also already talked to the mayor last week because he was going to be out today, and we've also talked to some of the judges. And so we are seeing some great teamwork and collaboration in terms of truancy that I think is going to pay massive dividends as the school year proceeds in the 24-25 year. We will be sending out a letter at the beginning of the school year to all students and parents and to the entire community. It'll be in the Journal, it'll be in the Times, or we're asking for it to be. And we'll also be holding a press conference as school nears to tell the community, as I'm terming it, maybe it's a little over the top, but our war on truancy. Because all of the things that we know about students not being in school and all those negative effects that they can have, we have to nip this in the bud. And so I just really want to thank all those stakeholders. Today was one of those feel-good moments for me where we had people from all different areas of, Laura Lyles also with business, and Miss Betty, city council members. They could have been cynical about it, they could have kind of laughed us off, but they were great partners today, and I think it's the first of many pieces of that. And now it's Miss Pinkney's turn to move forward with that, so I think good things are coming. I wanted to also mention that next month I will be providing you a somewhat holistic legislative update as it applies to education. As we know, this has been a very, I'm not going to say productive, because that means I agree with everything. It's been a very active legislative session in terms of education policy in the state, and I hope to give you all the implications from that in the July board meeting of what all those new laws and acts actually mean for our day-to-day. And then finally, you did not see it on the agenda, and that's because I'm waiting for the specific verbiage. As y'all are aware, we can enter into executive session for several reasons, one of which is for legal updates for ongoing litigation. Mr. Staney will be here next Tuesday to do that, and it'll be on your agenda probably as early as tomorrow. We just have to put the very specific verbiage on that.
And the last item, an executive report.
The last item, and that way we can go into executive session to discuss the sensitive items in regards to that insurance litigation that I think we've been talking about for a while now. So that being said, unless there's any other questions, that concludes my superintendent report for the month of June.
Excuse me, was there a discussion in regards to the advance program?
Yes, ma'am. That was a big point of discussion. Excited about where that discussion went.
I'm really concerned because we didn't get a reminder. I talked to 2 or 3 board members, they didn't really, we did want to be present. I don't know.
And I apologize. When I sent out the original, I didn't follow up with anyone else. I just sent it out that initial time. So I can, next time I'll try to give you all a heads up maybe a few days beforehand.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Our informational report is 6.
Good evening. As usual, we're a month behind on reporting claim numbers because I don't have to turn them in until the 10th. So those numbers will be updated for you. What you're seeing there, the numbers from April and May will be in time for you to see it before the board meeting next Tuesday. The most exciting thing I have to report is that all of the old freezer equipment has been removed, and if Mr. Wascom wants to pull it up, you can see the progress on the flooring. Yeah, on the screen behind you, you can see that they finished pouring the slab today. They had to dig down into the concrete and add some insulation for the freezer to sit flush on the floor.
That white stuff is insulation.
And so they were pouring this morning. That's been really fun to watch them. So the freezer itself is supposed to ship to us on the 18th, and we feel like we're in a very good position to have everything, barring any real unusual complication, ready for the school year. We should be in perfect time to receive the food for the school year and have it tucked away. And this is just going to be really, really a nice thing for us to have and secure. Looking at the weather the way it has been, I think we'll all be glad to have that generator hooked up and have that reassurance going into the school year.
Especially entering into hurricane season.
Exactly. So that's really what I have to update. Summer school's going well. The kitchens are up, running. Everything is running smoothly. So, if no one has questions, that's my report.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan is ready. Miss Sarah's next. Miss Sarah.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Our June federal programs update last month, I share with you some items in ESSER that were out for amendment approval. The following have been approved. The purchase of Tier 1 curriculum was approved for our school year 24-25. The technology upgrades was approved. Just some description line items and object codes that were required for updating the HVAC and bathroom remodel projects across the parking lot. That was approved as well, and the description and object items for the child nutrition project, the freezer project was approved. And what that means basically is that we want to do everything decent and in order, and so that's where we are with that, making sure that when it comes time to, when auditing comes around, we will be ready to show that all of our line items are in alignment with our invoices and payments. Additional approved capital projects that were on the agenda last month, they were approved as well. The energy efficient windows for central office was approved. And I've since added that to our item description. The NCHS AC unit upgrades, those were approved as well. And I think we're going to talk a little later, Mike, about the purchase of 3 technology vehicles. That was approved as well. We paid out CIR stipends out of ESSER in the amount of, it's a little higher than this now. We left a couple of teachers not intentionally off the list. $952,482 and some change. They were very excited about receiving that. Just a recap of last month, I'm not going to read all of that, but those were some submissions that were approved from school year 24-25 subgrants. We have, for Title I this year, I'm working on preparing that budget to be submitted by June 15th. We do have a proposal of 3 additional positions. I think Lord just spoke to you about the 9 additional positions, part of that new department. And so those are outlined there. Title I funds, just a reminder, should directly support activities in support student achievement, support staff professional development, and increase the participation of parents in school activities, or assist parents to support student achievement. And those are the goals that we work towards as we build our program in the federal side of Natchez Parish Schools. We have some meetings that are scheduled with principals this week that have been going really, really great to discuss their Title I budgets and strategies for improvement. And I really just wanted to share that with you guys because it's not something that's done behind closed doors. It's a collaborative and very strategic effort between our district departments as well as our principals. And when it comes to those student funds that we have, we distribute to our schools. Our principals bring in the necessary documentation that shows that this is a need associated with this expense, and we move from there. So those have been going very well. I can't wait to update Dr. Eloy with some interesting, very creative ways that our schools are going to utilize these funds. So any questions? Oh, let's go.
I'm going to surprise you.
What you got?
Actually, it's the purchase of those 3 technology vehicles. Mr. Mike went from none to 4, and it sounds like an excessive amount, but if we listen to what Dr. Eloy said about wear and tear on personal vehicles, reimbursement and mileage, and all the things that have been going on, this is actually using extra funds for what we really need to use it for and making the parish strong. So thank y'all for coming up with this and making sure you got in under the wire. So, what kind of truck are you going to get this month?
I got it on there as an agenda item later if you want. I can go into it.
No, we'll wait.
You want now?
We'll wait.
Okay.
On the district showing officer, is that person hired by the school district, or is that person, because
It is, but what we're putting a large emphasis on is someone with a background in truancy, law enforcement, etc. And I can tell you, I think we have some applicants who fit that bill.
Did all the schools meet their numbers for the pre-K programs? Didn't that deadline just hit?
It did, thank you for asking that. We had some adjustments at some schools. We will have to only offer one class at Provincetown this year. We were not able to make the numbers. I do have some information from the State Department about birth rates, and what we noticed that we had a lot of children born during that COVID time. However, their birthdays were falling after September 30th, so that's what hit us with Provincetown. They have to turn 4 on or before September 30th, and they're turning 4 on October 1st and October 5th. And so that's going to be interesting for the next cycle, but we will have a pre-K program at all 6 sites that are currently, where we currently offer public pre-K.
Thank you, ma'am.
My pleasure. Anything else? No? Thank you.
Good evening. If y'all haven't noticed, we have a little bit of issue with rain here lately, so we've got multiple roof leaks, and we're currently working on those right now. So be patient with us. We can't get anybody out to finish and do some of the stuff until the rain is completely over. That's how we've started our summer. Wet. Our summer is really kicking off. We're doing a lot with the flooring, as far as the waxing and cleaning of the floors at all schools. That's underway. We got that started. We have some that are being professionally done that are, well.
Are you still using the same company that did the floor with Problem Solved and those other schools?
No, you believe it or not, we have not found those gentlemen again.
Really?
No.
They did an amazing job.
We're actually using.
I mean, it looked like a picture.
Yeah, the guy we're using is actually from the Shreveport area. He's actually a Nigerian guy. Very, very good. And his work is amazing. And it's cheap. It's like 50 cents a square foot. It's great.
So, Ms.
But
You said it was fun watching them pour the concrete, so Mr. Shirley, is he helping pour the concrete?
no, they wouldn't even let me write my name in. Kind of upset me. They wouldn't let, it's not like you're gonna see it, I mean, it's on the box. Yeah, they wouldn't even let me put my name in. It's kind of sad.
That's good.
The other major thing that we're doing this summer is our painting. Trying to refresh everything. I met with a lot of the principals. That's been one of my goals, is to meet with them and kind of get their wish list items. We've met with some athletic directors. I was out at Lakeview for about 2.5, 3 hours with Mr. Stepp today, kind of getting his outlook on what he wanted to see. We're going to do a lot of pressure washing of the fronts, get those cleaned up. We're trying to get the floors done. We're trying to get the painting done. We're trying to spruce everything up for August whenever school kicks back off. It's a lot of work. We're having to actually hire some of it out because there is so much work. I think Coach Coleman back there, I think we have about 12 or 14 rooms total that we're doing touch-up painting in. NJX has got painting going on. Lakeview's going to have painting going on. So we're going to be extremely busy.
We're only 9.5 weeks out, right?
Yeah.
So we're subbing,
Seriously, I mean, it's here already.
so we're subbing some of the painting out, you said?
Yes, sir, we have to. I mean, we have one painter in 11 schools, and even with the janitors, just for instance, my one painter has worked on 4 rooms for the last 3 days. So if I have to try to send one painter to do every school, it's not possible.
The biggest project being Lakeview, correct?
Yes, the biggest project is Lakeview. We're currently getting numbers on those right now. We still, I have 3 painters that are actually going through and giving me the numbers. So we will bring that back, and then if we need to scale back on it, we can. But I've got a pretty big wish list, and we're getting a number on a pretty big wish list, and then we may have to scale that back once we see the numbers, but, that's just something we're gonna have to wait and see how it comes in. Cause right yet, I don't have any idea how much it costs to paint it, but to be honest, their hallways is probably in better shape than most of the schools that we have out there. I mean, it's really not in bad shape, it's pretty good. Now, classrooms, on the other hand, it's been a minute since they've been painted, so there's certain areas that we gotta focus on just throughout. But I'm hoping to have a pretty good understanding in the next week or so of how much that's going to.
Mr. Shirley, when we get a contract out to the individual schools, who pays for that? Is it the BRE?
It's the
from
BRE,
school?
yes, sir.
From the
It's
school
BRE.
where the service is being done?
Yes, sir.
Right?
That is the BRE. That's one of the things that we have to look at, and we have to make sure that we don't exceed a certain number to start off. That way, you know, we don't whack your BRE for a lot of money.
Are you having trouble finding people
Yes,
to paint?
we have found 2 in town that has agreed to show up and give us numbers. Everything else that we've gotten has been out of town.
You might wanna call some of these lawn care people. They haven't cut grass in 4 weeks.
Well, and that.
No, I mean, I'm
You're
I'm
being
serious.
serious.
I mean, you may have a lot of skilled
Really?
labor with that group.
Right, we really and truly, I was gonna bring that up, our schools have looked bad the last couple of months, but when we do mow, we're tearing up more than we're getting mowed because it's so wet and they're getting stuck and they're doing everything, so, yeah, you're right. We do need painters in this town. I think, 1, 2, 3, 4 that I have used in the past is all retired. So
Mr.
we only
Young
have
is
about
here
2.
though, I know a couple, 2 or 3 individuals locally.
Well, if you would give me the names of them, I'll be glad to call them and get a price from them,
Numbers
because
for you.
we're currently using, 2 different crews right now. One of them is, master painter. The other one is,
He's local.
yes, Mr. Andrew is local. He's done a pretty good bit of work for us. And the other one was Pop Hines, but now
He's
Pop,
local too.
well, Pop is actually, retired now. So we're having to look outside the scope of them 2 gentlemen. And they were about the only 2 really left here that we had contacts with. So anything y'all can give as far as painters wise, we will be glad to call.
So you say that there's a lot of painting going on out at the Lakeview area, and those numbers are coming out about BRE. When that is concluded, we'd like to have a update on our BRE, because that money is being shared between 3 schools. And if you would, Mr. Wascom, like we did the last time, be able to, those principals, especially our new principal, be able to know what he has on hand.
Right.
You know.
We, me and Mr. Wascom actually met with, Coach Skip the other day, and we went over some of the stuff. But before these are signed off on, we will have that discussion. We will have our wish list of things that we want done. But I have started a spreadsheet, so we have what your number's at. And every time we do something, I will actually add it to that spreadsheet, and then we'll remove from that number, so we can keep a little bit better track of what we're doing, how we're doing it. So
Can we-
it's,
Can we do that for all the schools?
We are.
Mr. Shirley,
We are.
so we can have just like a constant update?
Yes.
So everybody.
we will, and like I say, that's one of the main things that, I like about the way being leader, working it out now, I can see. So before I make that decision, or he makes that decision, we can meet as a collective and make that, so.
Well, I think those principals really appreciate that too.
Right, we have some people, actually, not really the principals, athletic directors asking for things now that we don't have BRA for. So there's like, oh, we don't have that? No, it starts over in July. You're asking for it now. We're not saying you can't have it in July, but you just, at this point, we can't spend that amount of money because we don't have it. So I think it will be helpful for us to get that out there to them. So that way, when we tell them no on something, they understand why we have told them no.
Right.
Mr. Shirley, on the, at East, Natchez Elementary, I saw the issue with the sewer pipes.
Yes, ma'am.
Collapsing pipe, can you elaborate on that?
Okay.
I didn't quite understand.
We have run into the issue 2 times in the last probably 3 months where we've had to get and run big cables. We have found some areas that we're hitting that are solid. The only 2 ways that we're having these issues is either the pipes that have started to collapse because they're so old and they're cast iron, or they have roots growing through them, and that's why we're running the camera down in there, but the guys haven't been to run them yet, so I'm hoping in the next week or so that, yeah, it's, that piping looks like a spider web, because Mr. Fred showed me, it looks like a spider web across that parking lot. So all these pipes run together, you have these big pine trees. When you have trees running close to pipes, the tree roots can grow through them and it can break them. Or if it's cast iron, running over it for years and years, it'll start to decay. So until I know for sure, those 2 areas, I'm willing to bet we either have a collapse or we have some roots growing through them, and we're gonna have to dig that up and repair it. But it's all out in the parking lot. It's not actually in the school, so it's not like we will be ripping the floor out of the school or anything. So
So who does the repair?
whomever gets the bid, just depending on
Okay.
what it is and how much and how expensive it's going to be. So we'll have to get quotes on it. If it's under a certain amount of money, we can get 3 quotes. But if it's going to be over a certain amount of money, then we're going to have to pack up the front and send it out to bid. It just depends on how extensive and where it's located and what we're looking at.
Those pipes under the drive, circle drive are not collapsing anymore.
Yeah, that's really, if you look,
That's been ongoing for the last 10 years.
yeah, if you look, I just poured fresh gravel there about 3 months ago where I had to have it dug out. Yeah, so, and that's one of the things, and those were cast iron pipes. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Shirley, forgive me for not emailing you sooner. I'm so sorry, I forgot until I saw your face. But we had a stakeholder reach out from the Weaver area,
Okay.
and they said the school was like super dark at night. And so
Weird.
the other thing they brought up was, I know that we were doing LED lights there from the bond issue, and did we ever do that? Or are they just out, or what's going on?
Actually, we are updating, they're still yellow.
Yeah.
So we are updating those, and we evidently blew a breaker, but we put 3 on one area and 3 on the other area. And we didn't realize that we had tripped that breaker, and didn't even know they weren't off until, about Thursday of last week. So they were actually over there working on them again today. So if you don't see those lights on that wall, I need to know, because we're slowly replacing them, because it takes so long to replace them. I can't devote one electrician that I have there for a whole entire 2 weeks to put these up. So we're putting 3, then we're putting 3, then we're putting 3, so we can catch up on work orders in between.
Was that lighting part of the bond issue that we had a few years
The
ago?
ones I'm putting up,
Yeah,
I honestly don't know where they come from. The lights have been there since I got there.
I got you.
So I don't know where the money come from, but I know they have been there the whole entire time I've been there.
We may have had a bond, something from a bond from years ago that's not complete.
You have an update on that, Lakeview, light?
Yeah, that's what the stakeholders were saying.
July 1st? Are you saying?
Yes, sir. That's my first order of business, sir. Is to pull the trigger on the lighting for Lakeview on July 1st.
Yeah, you'll have to stand till midnight.
We're gonna light it up. Anybody else have any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Page.
You all know that we do the onboarding process and take care of the people when they leave and they're sick and all of that. And so we didn't include everything that we do, but I wanted to share with you just some of the numbers. Okay, so you see it? Okay, so I will just say that certification applications, I know you know that teachers have to turn in a whole lot of paperwork to keep up to date with their credentials. And I just want to share that we have completed 145 certification applications. So that would include several things. And I want you to share with you a few of the most common applications that we submit. One would be an ancillary, that would be for people who teach in a specialized area. Sometimes we have to do an appeal because they are coming from a different place or they have been out of service for a little while. They've not used their credentials. Are you going to go on some time?
I haven't found it, I just gotta figure it
Oh,
out
okay.
on it. I'm familiar with the map.
My favorite though is the certification renewals, higher status changes. Because we have people who start with a PhD, I don't even want to say the word anymore because that's just so basic. But then we work on getting more and more credentials. And so many times the same individual will start in one spot until they get to the next level and the next level and the next level until they're certified. And I just want to wait until another night to go into more details with you about that. But we also have the CTTIE certification. That's pretty common too, where we deal with the individuals who are instructors of career and technical education. We have the EDL, which has been pretty common. That's for our supervisors, our administrators, the principals, but you know. We have add-on, that would be our teachers who went back to get special education certification or adaptive PE or, you know, or reading specialists perhaps. We have mentor teachers and content leaders. These are our teachers who go back and get a little more so that they can mentor our residents and our new teachers, and hopefully not the people who are already employed, but sometimes that happens too. And then the practitioner license. That one is very common as well. This is the last step before certification. They're in the practice stage, they're running their own classroom, they're the sole person in the classroom. This is their residency right before certification. Okay. We also did 36 unemployment claim forms and 102 verifications of employment. This keeps us pretty busy as well because we're verifying employment for our current employees as well as our former employees. So if they go to another place, we have to confirm their verification or verify their employment so that they can get paid the right amount of money because it's for their experience, and other times it could be for a current employee so that they may get a loan, a house, a car, or something. And then we've done 73 loan forgiveness forms as well. And I would like to thank the team that I now have. Ms. Winder does such a tremendous job with the certification part. And as you know, Ms. Knowledge is everything. And Ms. Anika Davis has helped us so much with the verification of employment. Do you have any questions? Good. Okay, so regular report.
I did see quite a number of resignations. We're going to be probably fulfilling most of those positions. We're filling
Continue
those
to track
positions.
around now. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Remember too that through the plan that was presented to the board in the springtime, many of those resignations we will absorb. But I think Ms. Page and I spoke today that all the schools right now are in really good shape in terms of staffing. Now, there will be, there's always that second wave in July after tax checks go out. But no, everyone's in a really good spot right now.
Ms. Page, see, there's a few resignations that they've been gone for a while. So how does that work? So they leave, they don't come back, and
Yes, ma'am.
it just, even though they haven't been here in a few months, it's just effective in May?
Sometimes that is the case.
Somebody
Very
write
discreet.
things down sometimes. Somebody write.
So some of them may have had long-term sick leave that y'all aren't aware of, we are internally. And so it appears they haven't been there, which they haven't, but they're still employed by us during that time period.
So like,
I wondered about that,
So
seeing
two,
some of the names.
yeah, one of them is March 28th, it was just now,
That's
like,
the, yeah.
he told us not to.
so, for example, on G, that was effective March 28th, it's just now, is there just a lapse sometimes, or?
I think that can just be a mis-
Typo.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
I'm
we-
sorry,
Okay.
yeah.
okay.
I'm always reluctant to do this because it's,
Right,
yeah.
I know sometimes we don't have questions, then we have 100.
Right, right.
Well, makes
Yeah,
sense. It's
that's
one
just a
more that's-
mistake, that's just a
Yeah.
mistake. Yeah, it should be made. Kind. Do you have any other questions?
When's the presentation?
Okay, basically, the informational report here about revenues, you'll see the actual versus last year. Within, what, $500,000 worth of revenues, or a little over. I'm certainly happy about that, considering sales taxes and stuff. Expenses are, I think one of the reasons why revenue is in fact going to come down a bit. Because remember that we had the money that last October, remember we got it in from MFP for, was it $2,000 stipend we handed out to everybody? Well, that created additional revenue, but also it created some additional expense down here at the bottom. So about extra $1.6 million worth of, and that is, so we're right on track with our expenses from last year. As long as you take that piece out, we're actually right in line with where we were last year. Child nutrition is in a positive, and that's always a positive, right? Title I, once again, the difference between the revenue and the expense number is always the fact the lag behind receiving reimbursements. ESSER 3 formula, you'll see that the expenses now are down here at $6,189,000. That's being reimbursed. We received $1.6 million yesterday on reimbursement from all of our federal funds. We got a lot rolling through right now, so we're having to front the money. And I think Sheriff shared with y'all like the CIR payments. That was nearly $1 million. All that money will be reimbursed eventually over the next few weeks. There's ESSER 3, some of the other pieces, which I believe this is probably incentive. Are there any other questions regarding the budget? Okay.
Will there need to be an adjustment prior to?
We will be doing an adjustment, yes, we will. I was gonna bring that up in my next, line item, which is the sales tax report.
Sales tax is good news. I didn't know where we were gonna be after a 26% drop last month. We are actually up 2.64%, which is now leaving us with an overall decline of 6.59%. I'm actually very happy about this. We're projecting our last month of this year collections to be around 1.678 million. That's in line with the current trend. We will need to do some adjustments at the year end. We generally wait until after all the summer school numbers are in. Because remember, we don't know what the summer school will be, and it has become such a large thing in the last few years. We have to wait until all those numbers are in and then make one last year end adjustment.
Speaking of which, sorry to interrupt, Mr. Wilson, and this is a year ahead of time, but I do want everyone to be aware, and I'll probably mention this maybe 6 or 7 times between now and next summer school. With ESSER going away, summer school will look much different next year. And so this is the first time I'm telling y'all that. I'm sure you were probably aware, but just look for there to be a significant difference in what that appears next year.
Okay, so that's the last of my informational reports.
Thank you, Mr.
Well, it's not necessarily failure. What it is.
Not reported. Now I'm saying I thought that number was reported.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yeah. No, I mean, the biggest thing is, well, 2 things primarily. At the high school level, we're trying to make sure that 9th graders have as many credits as they can when they finish that 9th grade year, so that way our DCAI, which is one of our SPS numbers, is high for the junior highs. Because if Coach Coleman over there can get all the kids from NGH, Provençal, Marthville, etc., if he can get them 7 credits by the end of the year, that's going to increase the SPS of those junior highs. So he's working on that. He's also working to make sure EOC courses students can graduate on time. Alternatively, at the elementary level, we had that 3rd grade reading piece from Dr. Brumley. That means if they don't hit their reading level where they need to, we have to provide them some sort of remediation, i.e. summer school. So those are probably our biggest ones. And then also we have our lovely friends who are truant throughout the year who have to get attendance. But Miss Pinckney's going to fix that. We won't have to worry about attendance summer school next year.
They had 180 opportunities to get there, and they didn't.
Mr. Eloy, on that, how heavy is the weight of how many credits a freshman gets? Like, how much does that legitimately affect the junior high? So you're saying what the student does at a different school under different teachers affects the score of a school?
So I think it's 12.5%, Ms. Pinckney? 5%.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
5% of the overall score?
5% of the overall score. But what we try to do, and I think we've probably expanded this even since you've been gone from Marthville, is getting as many credits to 8th graders as possible so that junior highs have more control. But then we also have folks now, I think at the high schools, who and I'm speaking of Coach Coleman in the 3rd person, but he may think that, oh, I'm doing this for the junior high. But obviously, him affecting that number is going to pay dividends for his school as well.
Oh, sure. I just think it's concerning that, like, and that's a state mandated.
We do believe.
How on earth is that justified?
Well, because they do whatever they want. But the other side of it is the new June, the new accountability that's coming in. The current proposal does away with DCAI. Now, that's another thing I'll be talking to y'all probably in July about, is assuming Bessie passes the, I have to go to Baton Rouge on the 6th for the new accountability discussion. Assuming that passes, there's going to be massive overhauls to accountability.
Yep, fair enough.
And DCAI will be a victim of that, which, to your point, is probably a good thing.
Hope they finally tweak things and leave things where they at and stop moving all the time.
I have no hope that that'll be the case.
I would not freeze. Before we break into the finance report, I failed to mention that Ms. Linda Wallace had 34 years of service with the school system. So excellent service, long-term service, and we appreciate her effort for the school system. Board members, thank you, and to the entire staff, thank you for the school year 2023 and 2024. I know we have summer school in process right now, and it's an important part of our year, but putting the school year 23 and 24 to bed was a busy month in May. Board members, I want to thank y'all for attending all the functions that we had in May. I think there was only just a couple of nights in May that we didn't have to be somewhere and do something. And so May is a very busy month. And I'm wondering if we can back some of the things that we do in May into April, such as like the
Graduation.
we could probably look at that, but I don't think it. Anyway, I just think that there's maybe some opportunity there. But Ms. Tankia.
Yes. 5, finance, facility services, and insurance. 5A, permission to advertise for bids, technology technician vehicles. Mr. Cosette.
Hello. So we got it approved by LDOE using ESSER funds to purchase technician vehicles for my 3 technicians that service the schools throughout the districts. These are the guys that go on site. That's about half their job responsibility. Anything they can't fix remote, they have to go to each location. Very similar to how maintenance has to use maintenance trucks to get out there and fix things.
Not take home vehicles though.
Not take home vehicles, no. Up until now, everyone's just always used their privately owned vehicles and got reimbursed for mileage. You can imagine the amount of clutter that our job kind of requires us to keep on hand so we can fix various issues, and we think it would be a good use of these one-time funds to be able to purchase vehicles for the technicians, so they're not dependent on having to fund their own vehicle as well as having to keep it cluttered all the time.
Save time too, instead of getting out there and diagnosing the problem and then having to come back to NAC just to get where you go.
Correct. Stocking inventory of commonly used replacement parts in those vehicles, like it was another small warehouse. We think it's going to be doing efficiency increases.
Okay, Mr. Mike, you have delivery must occur before September 30, 2024. We had a local vendor that didn't do that, okay?
We did.
So what happens if this doesn't? The guys give you a wonderful price but can't seal the deal, and then the money's gone.
Executive session, we still. What are our options at that point? This is. I realize we're getting down to the wire here, but these are funds that I felt anyways, that this is one of the best uses of what's remaining. These aren't funds that were originally allocated for this. This is like we did a big realignment, looked at it, okay, here's what's left, how can we best utilize this money?
I don't disagree. I think you should go with someone that has an extensive reach into inventory.
I agree completely, and I would very much like to do a pre-bid meeting with anyone that wants to do this. I've discussed with some dealerships already, and that's kind of where you see these specs. That specifically lines up with 2 different vehicle models that would be acceptable to us that are in stock. And I know for a fact that there's 3 of them in the state right now that could be gotten and purchased tomorrow, assuming they're not sold. But they're not vehicles that are in high demand that are sold out everywhere. I would love it if my guys could have those little transit vans.
Yeah.
18-month lead time, not happening. Can't find them, can't get them. So we've done our shopping on this, and we've gone out and literally, pulled the spare tire out to see how many computers we could fit down the wheel well, you know what I mean? To try to find something that we can easily source that will serve our purpose. And, it's not going to be as good as a van, but it's definitely better than, what happens when my one guy wants to ride his motorcycle to work.
So these gonna be take-home vehicles, or is
They're
there
not take-home vehicles. They will be parked behind this building over there with the technology stuff.
With the lights on, the camera shining on.
That's right.
And now they are purchasing, we get the money from ESSA.
Correct.
The school board got to maintain the insurance and the gas and the upkeep and all that on?
That is correct.
or what the insurance gonna cost on 3 vehicles?
Mr. Wascom, the 3 additional vehicles on fleet policy, is it?
It's almost not even significant. One thing, it's kind of like a fleet insurance rate you get. Like, it's not a significant amount of change. I can look into that if you'd like.
Yeah.
We definitely need to look at that because commercial auto insurance is very significant.
Yeah.
And so is that general fund money, or would that be able to be paid out of title, anything? No. Yeah,
Well,
it's a very significant.
Correct me if I'm not wrong, but according to the current policy, when these guys are driving their personal vehicles, you guys are still insuring them.
Well, yeah, absolutely, you have your hired and not owned coverage, but insuring a vehicle for liability, comp, and collision on a commercial policy it's steep. Like, I don't want you to be shocked when you call and it's not insignificant.
And I don't know if y'all have got renewal and stuff with insurance. You go to, when you get y'all renewal, y'all better be sitting down on vehicles.
Yeah.
Because we got vehicles down there with the sharp and stuff, it's not doubling, some of them is tripling it.
Wow.
You know, some of them gone, like one vehicle we got went from 25,000 to 75,000 on one vehicle. So, and that's a commercial vehicle.
You need to
And
stay
some
away
of
from
them,
Kias and
like
Hondas.
my brother tote business, it went up probably to $70,000.
I can relate
With that, so with that's commercial. So we need to look and see what these vehicles gonna cost us before we okay it. Because we might say, well, they gonna cost more, that stuff. I was talking with the insurance today. If you go buy a brand new Ford truck, a F-150 or a Chevrolet truck, you don't have to have nothing on your record. The insurance is $350 to $450 a month on your vehicle. If you perfect, nothing on your record. So you notice your insurance is high as you know. So we need to make sure before we purchase this stuff.
Well, but I would like to add that insurance is being paid on the vehicles that are required to do this job anyways. You cannot do this job without vehicles. The difference is right now we are passing that cost on to our employees. Because right now, they can't say, I can't afford insurance and decide not to have a vehicle anymore. One guy moved just a quarter mile down the street. He could ride a bicycle to work every day. No, he can't because he'd lose his job.
So they would have their insurance cost anyway, though.
If
So-
they maintain a vehicle, but they don't have the option to get rid of their personal vehicles right now.
So when you say we're footing the cost for their insurance?
No, what I'm saying is if by maintaining privately owned vehicles, you're passing the buck on to the employee who is required to maintain insurance on their vehicle
Anyway,
anyways.
yes.
So
So how we passing the buck to them when we gotta maintain it anyway?
what I'm saying is they do not have the option, if they wanted
You
to,
don't have the option in general.
if they, no, they do. If they said, I only live a quarter mile down the street right now, I'm gonna ride a bicycle to work, I can't afford a vehicle anymore because insurance is too high. They don't have that choice because they have to have that privately owned vehicle to complete their job.
I think we look into our fleet policy, see what it is, and
Yeah, because that policy should
I
be
see.
renewing in June or July.
I see what you're saying.
We're doing
Yeah.
it.
We're already
Whenever
paying
you-
for a fleet policy, right? So we'll just be looking into that and making sure that
Yeah,
cost is included.
Yeah.
But the newer the model, the more, the higher the insurance is.
Not necessarily, because they don't have a safety
It can be
option.
cheaper, yeah,
It totally could.
because it is so.
And then too, while you're checking, make sure that we have all the drivers listed on the policy that need to be listed.
They cover everybody. I checked into that.
Okay,
They push it into the vehicle because it's a different than normal commercial. It's like, we have a couple of buses. It doesn't matter who's riding the bus, who's ever in the bus and driving the bus, as long as who's ever doing it. Like baseball field. Anybody who's playing baseball, even if it's not Natchitoches Parish School Board students, whoever is on the baseball field is covered by it.
okay, so they cover them all.
So it's the same way like that. It's a different format to insurance I've ever seen, but that is covered.
So if we hire an employee that has like tickets and accidents or DUI, then that doesn't affect the rate or anything?
Under the current policy, an employee with a DUI cannot drive a district-owned vehicle.
They are found to be problematic, yes.
So, will we be able to see what has been asked next Tuesday on what the cost would be?
Oh, yeah, I have that here.
Okay. All right, good deal.
All right, 5B, award paper and cleaning products bid for the 24-25 school year.
So on next Tuesday, I have attached the bid results for our paper bid that was received on May 13th. It is a line item bid, so I have recommended awards to several different vendors. So that's the analysis is attached there that you can review, and we'll just be asking for your approval for those products for the 24-25 school year.
Thank you. C, discuss and consider the Rapides Foundation Youth Volunteer School District grant for the 24-25 school year.
Yes, ma'am. So that's, apologies, Miss Ingram is out with strep throat. And so she sent me the information on that. So for the Healthy Behaviors Grant, it's in every school, covers staff wellness, vaping education, physical fitness, behaviors, tobacco and drug prevention awareness, and it'll also provide the PE curriculum and supplies for all grades K through 8. And we typically, those of you who've been on the board for a while, you've probably renewed this one 10 times.
This is a great match.
Yes.
Okay. 5E, discuss and so we're just gonna put C and D together?
Oh, I'm sorry, the Youth Volunteer Grant is a service learning grant that's in select number of schools, specifically Middle Lab, MPTCC, Lakeview, NGH, and Central, and the students conduct projects that help the community for their schools.
And they're already advertising.
Correct.
Let's hope we don't pass it.
Yes.
All right, 5E, discuss and consider revisions to the next fresh school board salary schedule for the 24-25 school year.
This was one of our several tabled items from last month, if y'all recall.
This would be our new salary schedule.
Lee, if you don't mind, I would like to talk about the
Thing we just did.
the differentiated compensation.
Page 13.
As many of you are aware, because I'm sure you received some phone calls 2 months ago, or last month, sorry, we made a change for the differentiated compensation. And I told y'all in that meeting that we weren't necessarily picking the best choice, we were picking the better choice from a list of not good options. And I told y'all about, our options were give money to everyone at a low-income school. Well, that was 12 of the 14 schools. And by the way, NSU Middle Lab is now a Title I school. So we are now 90, what does that make? It's 98%.
Is that a result of picking up the extra students?
I believe so. And maybe some changes in this ratio from the State Department and how they determine who's Title I and who's not.
Is everybody accepting?
It's my understanding it's purely based on their socioeconomic status, and once you get over a certain percentage per school, which is 38 point something %, you become a Title I school.
Middle Lab's now.
Right.
Yeah.
They
So that was,
cost
and that's great news, actually. It helps us out a lot. So that was one option for our teachers there, but that spread out that money so far. Then we had for teacher leaders, well, that's like master teachers, mentor teachers. They're already getting significant payments, so we didn't think that was a viable option. Then it was for highly effective. Well, moving into this next school year, highly effective, those folks will be rewarded through the TAP process. If you're highly effective, truly high effective, you're going to get the biggest payouts from TAP. So that left us with the positions that the state deems we have a hard time staffing. And they've specifically said these are 3 different positions. And again, this is determined by the state. One is special education. If you are a certified special educator from K through 12, that is a position that the state designates should get some of this money. The other 2 positions are only high school teachers, and it's high school math and high school science. Those statewide are critical shortage areas. So what we're proposing in this new salary schedule is that they would receive an additional, I believe $3,000.
3,000.
Those 3 positions would have a base salary, but if you are certified in that area, so I am a certified science teacher, and here's the caveat, 9 through 12. And I'm teaching a 9 through 12 class. Then I receive this in addition to my base salary. Go ahead.
Is it just, they don't have to teach one?
No, they have, I'm sorry. They have to be certified in teaching the course. The state does not delineate how many of the courses they have. We are going to monitor internally that we're not trying to.
Like if we have somebody teaching one biology class, a couple PEs or.
So it could happen.
And they get the extra $3,000.
They would by definition, assuming they are certified in it.
Right.
We are going to try to make sure that that is not the case. Now, there's some master schedules that may occur just because, yeah. But we don't want anyone in staffing trying to game the situation to give someone extra money arbitrary.
But you see why I'm asking.
100%, yes, yes.
And also,
100%.
is that gonna be every class in math and every class in science?
So as long as it is a high school math course and they are certified, they would qualify.
It says up there 6 through 12. Is it junior high right, as well?
I'm sorry, you're correct, 6 through 12. So here's the problem. The problem is we have some people who have a certification that they're teaching math, but they're not teaching math. They'll think they get this. Then we have some people who are teaching some of these courses and they're a certified teacher, but they're out of field certified. They would not qualify for this. The idea is, and this is what people need to understand, the idea is to get certified, effective people in this. Now, the state does not have anything in there based on what they've told us we have to choose from to say, okay, you're teaching this class, you're certified in this class, are you effective? And our point is TAP will take care of the effective piece. We're not going to try to wrap the demand piece into the incentive piece as well. We went over and over these numbers. We went over and over the different possibilities. This to us makes the most sense in terms of trying to make the money change behavior. And in this case, the behavior change we're looking for is for more people to become SPED, science, and math.
What about ELA?
That is, we're not allowed to address that because by virtue of the LDOE guidelines, they only define the critical shortages as these 3. Now, there's a possibility that next year their critical shortage, it can change. But what they'll say is we don't have a problem recruiting ELA teachers. In fact, we'd love for some ELA teachers to become math teachers. So they're trying to change people's behavior because even at the college level, you know, we may have 20. I went to NSU's graduation, it was great, but they had 20 music ed majors. Maybe some of them will now teach special ed or math or science. I don't know if 3,000 will do it, but it's a step in that direction.
This is also wanted to share with y'all, this is money being given to us through, from the state. We are not funding this stipend. This is that $192,000 that they gave us last year. We get to take the $16,000 we didn't spend and roll it into next year as well.
So
We'll have over $200,000, maybe $210,000 to fund this with.
So next year, all of our junior high and high school math and science and special ed teachers will get this extra $3,000.
Again, I'm going to keep saying, assuming they're certified.
Certified and they're teaching.
And here's the other thing, certified specifically, because we may have someone who has a 6 through 12 certification in math, and they're teaching 5th graders on that campus. That one delineation we're going to be very strict with this policy because it's state policy, it's not ours. We don't feel that there's any wiggle room on this. But we're also going to look at master schedules beforehand and say, hey, you may think you have this, or principal, you may think this person, but make sure we're all on the same page.
Equity here too, like the teachers I could see really getting worked up about this.
So what I've told everyone in regards to this, differentiated compensation is a huge push by Bessie and Dr. Brumman. And I'll be honest, I believe in it. I do like that he's leading the charge with it, because the reason being, which is probably obvious, we can roll back and say, the things that are irritating about this are the things that the state has determined. And unless we want to send back $200,000 that could go to teachers and could move our district, I mean, that's the only other option, because there will definitely be people who are offended and frustrated by this.
Well, we did lose a whole lot of sped people in looking. I think I shared that as we were at the teacher's retirement, and we lost a whole lot of sped. And I was like, what are we gonna do?
Well, in special education statewide is, but it's always the issue. It's always the issue.
Right.
Yeah, she's doing great.
Yeah.
So that's the only real.
No, there's one page that was added.
Oh, the TAP page.
The TAP, well, no, the TAP page is a particular document, but if you look at page, actually, I think that is, yeah, if you go, this page here, which is page 5, this has been dramatically, I removed some of these columns and this is the new page, which is page 7, has been inserted. This is the instructional facilitator has been added. I took over here the attendance clerk. I just brought that over from another column. I brought there's also 3 columns underneath custodial. That has been specifically identified. I used to put them under on a different page called professional and non-administrative, but it would just make sense to put it here so it's clear. This is custodial.
But just to clarify, those are kind of logistical changes on the document.
Organizational.
No one's pay is changing or being reduced.
No pay has changed. This is just instruction. The only column that's new is the very first column called instructional facilitator. And it's clearly laid out down here at the bottom. That basically is teachers on attack. That's it.
They're a different position.
What's that?
They're all in a completely different positions. They don't think they're related. I mean, they're not, you have, I mean, I'm just surprised all 3 of these are on the same. They just, I don't understand why they all lumped on the same.
What this, wait, all this on this page?
The facilitator, the attendance clerk, and custodial, they're like totally different positions that don't seem to be related at all.
Are you looking at this one, Ms. Scott?
Yeah, this is the page 7.
Yeah.
There's no reason.
I think to your point, Ms. Dodd, what I would say is the facilitator, the clerk, and the school bookkeeper are related, and then there's that break for custodial. But so they're on the same page, but there is a break between those two.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Just, they were all put together.
I think that was more of a stylistic choice on Mr. Waskins.
So board members, pull together the questions that you have for next Tuesday night, so we can make sure that we have, because this is we're in like revision 5 on this now.
Well, this will happen every year. This needs to be a living document.
That's
You know,
fine.
like she's saying, there is some grouping of this because these don't really fit within other groups, but I, like the column of instructional facilitator is a brand new function that we're created.
So let's pull together our questions for next Tuesday before we vote. And I would encourage you to talk to the superintendent between now and next Tuesday night with any questions that you have.
But what is the instructional facility?
So if y'all recall, when we had, we've discussed a board retreat, one of the issues that has come to light, and I think it was a major point of discussion during the Goldana discussions, was over the past 2 years, the influx of TATs in the necessity to pay them at that level increased our expenditures 1 year by about
1.6 million.
1.6
It's in
million.
the hole last year.
So instead what this is, and we got this from another school district. What you do right now, everyone who's on a TAT right now will continue getting paid what they are getting paid. Because that would mean that they're going through the process, they're progressing. Anyone who falls off, and that's only by not taking care of their part of it, would then be moved into the instructional facilitator, because they're not a certified teacher. But at the point we call them a teacher, we have to treat them as a teacher. So this allows those folks who are not taking care of their business to still be paid, but not at the same level as a full-blown teacher, which is what a TAT is being paid at now. But again, these are only folks who lose out on their TAT status, which I think I've told y'all ad nauseum. We are going above and beyond to make sure they don't lose that status, and supporting them through that endeavor. But it creates this kind of middle ground that creates a really nice progression of totally uncertified, instructional facilitator, TAT, PL, fully certified. So instead of there being these gaps, there's always a benefit to move to the next level. So that's probably a really long explanation of we create a new position for if people fall off TAT.
Yeah, this is long overdue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, close, that completes finance.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Mr. Danny.
Right, policy 814.60.
So if y'all recall, this is another one of our policies that got tabled, and I believe this one was tabled for some really good conversation that came from Mr. Kevin Shanahan. And I promised y'all I would look into that. I'm glad Mr. Coleman's here. I think he's actually probably here for the cell phone discussion, but he's also here for this discussion. The point made by Mr. Shanahan is that the policy set by LHSAA is a C average, but then it is up to the school district to determine what is a C average. We say that's a 1.5 because a 1.5 rounds up to a 2.0, which makes it a C. And that's, in my understanding, I have yet to meet a school district that goes below that, that goes to a 1.5 as opposed to a 2.0. But I thought what Mr. Shanahan was correct. We need to have high standards. So I reached out to Coach Coleman and Lakeview and had the conversation of, and I love that Central was really easy to get them information because every student who's in the sport there, they are coded on JCampus. So we can run a report of every athlete and then put their GPA on that. Of the, I'm sure it's like 300 kids, I can't remember the exact number, but of the 300, maybe even 400 kids who are actively participating in a sport, somewhere between 7 and 10, no more than 10, but no less than 7, had a GPA that was sub 2.0. Well, I was like, okay, that's a pretty good percentage that, you know, what is that? 98% of our kids who are participating in sports have above a 2.0. So then I went to Coach Coleman and I said, here's these 7 to 10 kids, what's going on with them? And we were able to identify each one of those kids and say, yes, when we ran the report, they were in athletics because they were coded at the beginning of the year. But every one of those students was either not currently, was not currently participating in athletics for one of a few reasons. Attendance issues, discipline issues, or grade issues. So, all that being said, and it was mirrored at Lakeview.
Same percentage, roughly.
Roughly, yeah. The problem we are trying to solve of, is a 1.5 too low? Is not a problem in our parish. Our coaches are probably putting more pressure and oversight and accountability on our athletes than any other group. And literally 100% of the kids that we pull who are actively participating have above a 2.0. Again, remember those 7 to 10 kids, we thought they were participating, but they fell off for different reasons. So what I'm telling you is this. Why do I want a 1.5? I'm the academic guy. Why do I care about that? Because what it shows me is they're working with these kids. No one has below a 2.0. But I want to say it's Pastor Harris or Mr. Benefield or both of y'all's points, the 1.5 gives coaches, administrators, teachers flexibility to not throw a kid out completely if they dip below that 2.0. It gives them the ability to work with them, get them back above that 2.0, and keep that GPA high. So if it was a problem, I would actually be very much in favor of what Mr. Shanahan said. But currently, we don't have the problem that I think we possibly thought we did.
And I think he was asking, and he was just asking, where are you staying? And now we know where you're staying.
High expectations, but to giving a little grace to kids who maybe sports is the last thing keeping them in school.
What keeps a lot of these kids in school, so it incentivizes them to work harder that semester so they don't.
That's why I played starting quarterback all 4 years of high school.
Yeah, 1.5.
Which high school?
That's not here nor there.
So this is the, GPA that we're, supposed to be considering the 1.5?
Yes, ma'am.
I just think that's really low. What incentive are you giving a child at 1.5? That's fair.
That's state, that's what it is for the state.
So I would totally agree. If I would pull that up and I'd sit here and talk to Coach Coleman and say 50% of these kids have a 1.5. Or yeah, even a 1.7, but literally 0% of them have a GPA approaching that. And in fact, the minority of kids in that grouping were the ones who were close to that 2.0, like a 2.1, 2.2. Majority of these kids were in the 2.5 and above.
So why don't we go to 2.5 because they know that is what we expect, at least to have a 2.5 GPA.
You'll find out that you got a bunch of kids then that got self-esteem problem as it is.
Well, we need to work with those issues, like tutoring and.
But once you draw the line in the sand.
You give me some people together and we show we'll do it.
You go with a 2.0, and it's an R2.5, and so if they dip at 2.5, then they're out until they get it back up. That's
You're
kind of
working with those kids the whole while. I'm telling you, those coaches and others work with those kids, trying to keep them focused.
Well, and let's be practical.
Sports many times is what keeps them focused.
I know.
And even from a pragmatic point of view, yes, the coaches care about kids, but if you got a stud athlete, I mean, you're looking at their grades every day. I mean, because you want them to be.
Yeah, you got a coach here,
He's got his hand up.
We don't have to be that formal. Go ahead.
No, well, I was gonna say, to Mr. McGaskey, I'm thinking of two particular athletes. One came to us as a junior. He was a foster child. When he came to us, had an extremely low GPA. I think he had like around a 1.6. And he actually worked his tail off. He graduated with us this year as a senior, remained eligible, and he actually made mastery for us on one of his last leap exams that he took for us a couple weeks ago. So when he came to us, if we moved that GPA to a 2.0 or even a 2.5, he would have been ineligible. And I would dare say that young man would not have stuck with us. I don't know that he would have made it through his junior and senior year had it not been for football and powerlifting and some of the other things that he was able to participate in. And his GPA did come up because he did have coaches that they were on him. Matter of fact, when he came to us, I thought, oh, I don't know if he'll make it. But that sport, him being able to participate, provided enough motivation that he did work for us, he graduated, did all the things we asked him to do. So,
and the type of kid he was exposed to also.
Sorry.
And the type of kid he was exposed to also, his teammates.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There, 100 variables that go into that, and that's obviously one of them. But our athletes are not the ones that we desperately try to get the ones that are not participating in something. Band, JROTC, all those students fall in that same category. Those GPAs jump way up when they're attached
So
to
they have the same requirements, 1.5?
We're gonna have across the board.
ROTC and those other,
Yeah.
There's no state mandated GPA requirement for band or for JROTC that I'm aware of, but
This is us having to interpret something that LHSAA puts out, so we are compliant with them.
Didn't say, Mr. Page brought it up, that, are we gonna make this across the board with all?
So for this policy, it's specific on simply to student participation in athletic programs. But if that's something y'all want to pursue, then we'd have to have a different policy to address that as well.
I really think what we had spoke about before across the board was, the protocol of if they got in trouble, not necessarily their GPA, but if this person got in trouble, was suspended for this, that was across the board, not necessarily.
So President Benefield had talked to me about that, and Ms. Pinckney doesn't know this yet because we've been dealing with other stuff, but that was a policy we were going to try to bring to y'all by July.
Okay.
Item B, policy 814.70.
Again, one of our table items, and all we did here was we added that 30-day caveat that we had discussed. So
This is substance testing.
correct. On that first positive result, they be denied participation in interscholastic athletics for a period of 30 days and are able to test negative. So remember, they don't get to test again until there's been 30 days, and they've had that negative test and have waited those 30
So they
days.
can't test hot Monday and then turn around and test negative on Friday and play.
Correct.
It's gotta be a 30-day cool-off period.
So the way I read this, if I fail a test for the first positive test, if I read the first bullet point, I can do that, or I can do the second bullet point. That "or" in there throws it off. It's like you have the option to do either or.
So, and we can delete the or.
You see, I mean, do you see what I'm saying? I think it needs to
We can
say
put and.
it's an automatic 30-day suspension after a first failed test, and then you have to retest. But that the way this is written with that or.
Well, actually, you're correct, Mr. Freddie. I totally agree with you. So y'all need to, I think the final thing you need to decide is that an or or an and?
Well, I mean, I would think that the second bullet point is an automatic. I mean, it needs to be an automatic.
Okay, well then we just put and. Ms. Kinnear.
So they would have to do the written plan for substance abuse also, and counseling?
Yeah, and the reason I say that is because one of the things we've always gotten into with this is by virtue of a student being an athlete, they opt into random drug screening. And it is a higher threshold, but at the same time, you know, going back 15 years ago, I'd catch a kid who was walked in with red eyes and smelled like a skunk. We'd test them. They were expelled for a year. Now, it's different now, state law about possession versus being inebriated. But then you get into the equity of, and this is how it's always framed, star athlete tested positive, and they gave him counseling and they gave 30 days. So we feel like the counseling piece is essential to show that we are taking it just as seriously and there isn't some sort of one thing for athletes, one thing for other kids. This is really actually just as stringent. It's just they get randomly drug tested, the rest of the kids don't.
Board members, if you look between the first positive result section, there's a word "or." Are we in agreement to, and of course we can't vote, but is this something that we need to talk about next Tuesday night to kick it in or kick it out? I think we need to think about this because this "or" word is, Mr. Frady's point, is a very, very big word.
It's a lot of R's on the test results, like you said.
Yeah. I think we can easily put and y'all could, the motion could be to vote on it with the and. But if y'all, we can also keep it as is and someone could amend the motion.
Give us the A, B.
Okay.
A, it says and, B says or. Or vice versa.
Good deal.
Okay, we're ready for the next one.
6C, discussion
consider revisions to the current cell phone policy.
Ms. Reba, could, you lead into this conversation before we, and kind of preface what's actually happened
Yes,
in the
absolutely.
last month or two?
And there's one piece I'd like to add after you're done
Okay,
and before our speaker goes. It'll be brief, I
Oh,
promise.
no.
okay, you have 3 minutes.
It'll take 30 seconds.
Okay, so, one of the big rocks that we always hear about from parents, of course, has to do with the cell phone policy. Sometimes time will go by and we don't hear anything from anyone, and then all of a sudden, it's like 10 calls, 10 texts, I can't get my phone for 7 days. And so we thought it was a good time to revisit the policy. We created a committee consisting of myself, Ms. McGaskey, and Mr. McGuire, and Ms. Page via text. She helped us a lot. But within that committee, we also had principals from high school and junior high, as well as 2 parents, because we thought it was super important to let parents have a voice, just to know how policy is made, how they can help, how important their input is. So we have one of the parents with us tonight, Mr. Dane Terrell. We appreciate you being here. But if you'll look at the attachments on the agenda, these things were emailed to you as well. The first 2 attachments are a cell phone policy shell, if you will, for high school and junior high. Both of those policies have some good points. Both of them include some of the things that we discussed in the committee meeting. One of the big things that was important to us was to get rid of the 7-day holding period where the system holds your cell phone for 7 days, not including weekends. So we looked at that. We were trying to get that reduced down. But also in your attachments, you'll see some cell phone policies from other parishes and how they handle cell phone violations and devices on campus. Every single one of them have some great language. I'm hoping that everyone will review these and let us know your thoughts on it. One thing I noticed that our 2 shell policies don't have is language that says we do not hold NPSB liable for broken, stolen, damaged devices. I would like to see that language added in there at whatever level we decide. And as far as I know, the state has not signed a law banning.
They were in the process, again, so many of these are either held up in committee or they're on the governor's desk.
Not signed yet.
Yeah, not signed yet.
And even if they do pass a statewide ban on cell phones, then we would have to come in with a policy for the punishment for that. So with that being said, we do have a parent here to speak tonight. He emailed each of you another shell policy or another idea, and he's going to explain that to us as well.
Can I just clarify
I'm sorry.
one thing? So one quick clarification. There are 2 different policies here, and I think you're only addressing one of them. We currently have policy JCDAE, which basically bans cell phones from being on school campus. What I think we're more in discussion about is the discipline policy concerning cell phones, which will be in the student handbook.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so I just want to make sure, because I don't think we have to make any changes to JCDAE. I think we do have to make changes to the discipline portion. Correct. Okay, I'm good. See, 30 seconds.
You did good.
Mr. Terrell, if you'd like to address the board, sir, would you provide, go to the podium? You have 3 minutes.
And before you start the timer on Mr. Terrell, I do want to say that he has 4 children in our system, one who recently graduated. So he's well versed in child behavior. And the other parent that served with us, he couldn't be here tonight. And he has middle school children and elementary kids. And he was very impressed with the shell policy as well.
I think the young lady at the end has a question.
I'm okay. Thank you.
For those that don't know me, my name is Dane Terrell. I'm a proud graduate of M.R. Weaver, East Natchitoches, Natchitoches Junior High, Natchitoches Central, and Northwestern State University. I do have 4 students. One just recently graduated from Natchitoches Central. Thank all of y'all who attended the graduation. He was an award winner, and we were excited about that. My grocery bill is soon to recover some needed budget dollars, just like y'all's dollars. But I want you guys to consider more, guys and girls, to consider more than anything, is that my 3 remaining students are all girls. I don't want them on the road at night without a phone. You don't want your daughters on the road at night without a phone either. So I do want you to come up with a discipline that discourages the use of cell phones, even though that's going to be very difficult. But I don't want to put the safety of my children in discussion. And I think that a phone locked up in a safe at a school, certainly over the weekend, for more than a day for me, is just not a reasonable punishment, because I think the danger outweighs the benefit. You may disagree, but if you have a daughter, I doubt it. I've spoken to a couple of the principals, and I think there's some ways to tweak it. One of the policies that my next door neighbor, Ms. Conde, submitted to you gave parents a window where they could come and retrieve the cell phone device. I'm happy with that. With the exception of the 30-minute window, I think that would be very difficult for a parent who works to get away in that time frame. So just try to find a balance, if you would, between the safety of the student after school with the non-desired outcome of having that student use a call or text. The other thing that I suggested was a spot and time in the school to allow them to send a single message or a quick phone call. I haven't been able to speak with Mr. Coleman about it. I was able to speak to Mr. Stitt, and he thought that was something they were already doing. Hey, if you need to send a text message or a phone call, come into the office during this window and we'll make it work. Well, that can be in the policy. That way the students all know what's expected of them ahead of time, and they're not trying to sneak it in because they know what they can and can't do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board members, any input? I know Ms. Phelps is ready to branch out into these different policies, but based on what Mr. Terrell was saying, is there any questions that we would have with that?
I have a question about the after-school events. So like when they're on a bus coming home from a game or something like that, it's up to the coaches to let them use their cell phone.
Are they currently able to use them?
Oh,
after
yeah.
games and stuff?
Yeah, at 3 p.m. outside the building, they
They can
can.
use it, yes.
Even at events?
Yes, ma'am.
When it comes to basketball
Yes,
games?
ma'am.
Okay.
I will say the 3 to 3:30 window would be tough, not only for work parents, but it is in distance and it's hard to get on
Well,
campus.
I would suggest whatever cell phones that you have be passed back to that person before they get on the road. You don't want to keep them. We don't want to keep them.
That's based on.
Just before they get on the bus, give them back.
Liability, it comes into play.
I think the tightrope we're trying to walk, because I'm sensitive to what Mr. Terrell said. I have a 13-year-old who I want her to have a cell phone on her. She's also super responsible and never takes it out of school. And I can genuinely say that because she'll lose it forever. But what we're trying to do is we want to give parents back these phones. We don't want to keep them for 7 days because they're all bad. At the same time, we want this to be, how do I say this without, we want to be,
It's gotta be stringent.
we want it to be a little bit of something where you'll get your phone back, but it is going to be a little bit of a pain to do that. Because if we are too lenient with the process, then the student says, I'm going to take it out. I'll get it back from mom at the end of the day. And so I agree, I think a 30-minute time period is probably too narrow, but also making it to where it's not come get your cell phone any time of the day. And so I think I would ask the board to kind of try to walk that line of we're doing a massive reverse with parents, and I think well intended because legally, I don't know if we have a whole lot of ground to stand on, confiscating other people's property for long periods of time, but then also not making it too much of a quick and easy process where, not that we want to burden parents, but where it underburdens a student and there's no real, we've already taken a lot of teeth away. Just don't take all the teeth away to where there's still a little bit of discomfort on the student's part because they did something that is against policy. But I think that's something y'all can probably walk with a new policy.
Okay, Ms.
And
Phelps.
if you put that accountability on the parent also, because if I have to come up there and leave my job and come get a cell phone, I'm gonna be mad. So, yeah.
It's less likely to happen again the next day. If
Well,
the parent, the kid gets it back at the end of the day, every day, they're just gonna keep doing it and keep doing it and keep
Well,
doing
if a person,
if mom can't get there by 3:30 to get it, and they gotta go all evening and night, and they don't have Facebook or Snapchat, I'm telling you, they ain't gonna do it again the next day.
Well, and that's why we think it has to be given to an adult. We're really good at keeping these cell phones right now and keeping them and not losing them and not having them stolen. So we wouldn't want to say, hey, just give them to everyone at the end of the day. Instead, we'd say, no, your parent or your guardian needs to be the one to come pick it up.
if a
I remember when
person,
I was in school.
Hold it, let's take our time and let's.
If we had anything like a ball or something, a pencil that we wasn't supposed to have or something, teacher took you, put it in your drawer, you got it at the end, after the field trip, or something, at the end of the day, at the end of the school year, they used to take your stuff.
And the only thing here is I think the big discrepancy between the rubber ball that you apparently was your only toy as a child and this is we're talking about $1,000 piece of property.
And
That-
in some cases, it's their home phone, like they don't have landlines
Correct.
anymore, that's their.
Pastor Harris, you had something to add?
if a person is an habitual offender and they just keep doing this thing, I think you should ban them from even bringing that phone to schools.
So in the policy proposed, that's not there, but I think it
Because
could
if you're just
be proposed.
habitually breaking the policy,
Just like any other.
then you tell the parent, you can't bring your period.
Well, Mr. Terrell has.
Because you don't need no phone. What you need is discipline.
He has a provision in the policy he submitted to us for something like that. So.
Yeah, okay.
But, you know,
I don't think
my
I've
argument to a parent, if they say, and I know this is gonna get a lot of feedback, probably none of it good, but that's okay. If you hand your phone to your 17-year-old and say, please go to school, but you need to use this phone wisely and follow school rules, and then the phone's taken away because they didn't, and then the parent comes up and says, you took my property. Well, my response to you is you gave your property to that child or that student. And if you don't want your property confiscated, then don't send it back up here because these are the rules today.
That's all right.
These are the rules today. Now, we're working through that. But, you know, I understand what they're saying. Now, there was a problem early on where there was a student that was kind of caught between things. That really was a bad situation, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Ms. Phelps is doing a great job pulling all this together. I don't think there's any one answer that's gonna make everyone happy, but I think there's a lot of good ideas out here. I really do. And so, Ms. Phelps, where are we leading?
Well, so that's why we're here today. I'm hoping that everyone will email me what your thoughts are, or if you don't want to talk about it today, you can email me, but I want to hear from everybody what they want to see in it. And we know Mr. Terrell, the things that he wants in it, and the things that he's asking were discussed in the committee meeting, and I won't say approved because we didn't vote or anything, but agreed upon. But we also want to be respectful of principals and instructional time and not.
Yeah, they don't want to be the phone police.
Right. And like I told a parent today, if you've been in Natcher Central lobby or secretary area while there's kids coming and going, it is hectic all day long. And I mean, I don't know how you would fit in asking someone to stay from 3 to 3:30 to do that, you know, logistically, that's tough too, so.
Well, if you have a parent that doesn't get off till 5 and they say, look, I need my phone and I don't get off till 5 and I expect someone to be there, or they work at a mill, I don't get off till 7
Right.
and I can't get off. They will not allow me off. I expect someone to be there 7 to hand me that phone. I mean, that's not an accommodation I think we can do.
Well, maybe we can look at, another joke, because I think I remember that, in some of the, you know, the cell phone, policy for some other schools.
I would ask that
A
it
parent
just-
or another authorized adult, because I think after that, first time offense, you do have to have some consequences in place. And I do recall from Principal Coleman and Ms. God, I don't know, Ms. Arshill, the other, who was a principal, and this junior high principal, they had indicated, you know, there's an issue with the cell phones because it was asked about them having the use on breaks at a certain, you know, specific area there at school, and they cause problems because of the activity that, you know, fights and bullying and all kinds of issues. So they were not wanting to deal with, maybe bring the phones and have a designated area and stay there from the time they bring them to class, to get them after class, or maybe a designated area where they bring them if they use them, or they know they can bring them, put them there and pick them up after school, but not have access to them unless it's an emergency. You can call the office, because there's issues with social media that they don't want to deal, and I can understand. They're trying to teach these kids. They don't need to be dealing with issues with cell phone problems.
That works in a place like Waterville and stuff, where we may have 30 kids with a phone, bring it, they put it in a basket in the front office in the morning, they get it back in the afternoon, as you can imagine, it's simply be
There'd be a whole lot.
1,000 plus phones they'd be turning in.
They
and
put them
they
in,
took the whole-
in the class.
Saying whatever. Mr. McGuire, we haven't heard from you. I don't want to put you on the spot, but
Yes.
what do you think?
My feeling that it shouldn't even have it at school at all, that's my feeling with it, but I have no idea. But another thing, what I don't like, on a Friday, we need to make some kind of way that that child gets the phone, because that's the only, the way a lot of kids have. And I wouldn't want them to be going from, Saturday and Sunday without their phone, because it could wind up being a liability to us with that phone. Now, I don't have no problem with them keeping it during the weekday, but I think it need to be give back some kind of way Friday. And if mom and dad not come and get it, if an aunt or uncle come and get it, that's over. Before we give that phone to them, that aunt or the uncle or either a sibling that's old enough need to sign. Put down that I picked this phone up, sign, because I might go get Lil John's phone, and I'm not even kidding Lil John, I know he did the phone, and take his phone, and then we can give it to somebody else that we liable for it, then, you know, we'd have to, because we give it to somebody else.
I would ask
No
that
related to it.
whoever that relation is, I would ask that they be at least 21 years old too, because I would hate that, and again, not that 21-year-olds can't do some stuff too, but hey, call Big Brother, you know, your daughter gets her phone taken, she calls Willie T, a 19-year-old, and Willie T comes in, and parents never even know the wiser. So just a little nuance there on some of these things.
But we would, I think if we ask the parent to provide, then we have it on record.
Yes, ma'am.
That eliminates.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we've got a lot of things to consider. Some of it is convenience for and the safety and the communication piece that Mr. Terrell was talking about. Some of it was Mr. McGuire saying they shouldn't have it at all because we're at school. At least I'm putting words in the mouth there.
Yeah.
And then some of it is, let's face it, phones have become an integral part of our life. I mean, everyone uses them. I think the biggest problem, and Coach Coleman may back me up on this, is the cameras that are on those phones. And the things that we can get involved in as a school system by not providing the quote correct amount of supervision. And so I know that's a problem.
Mr. Biville, there's that. There's also all the studies right now are saying how much of an impact whether it be through anxiety, depression, bullying, whatever, that these phones are having on young brains. And so I'm very much in line with a lot of stuff y'all are saying. I just want to make sure that we do not want to send a message. I don't think Mr. Terrell is saying this at all, but we don't want to send a message at all that cell phones have a place during instructional time, because Lord knows they have them 24/7 after that, and we have enough distractions internally. But this is more about just getting phones back to parents when they need them.
Ms. Reba has asked us
Maybe you could consider changing the time.
to send us information to her on what our thoughts are, but what are the key features, key factors, key portions of this policy that are more important than others? Have y'all determined this, fellas?
So I would ask Ms. McGaskey and Mr. McGuire the same thing, but for me, the important thing was at every level of discipline, the parent was able to get the phone back. And to me, that was paramount,
While still not negating.
the discipline portion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, because in second offense, there's a parent meeting scheduled already, right? According to what I'm reading.
Yeah.
There's a high school one and a junior.
Right, on the high school.
And
I
then
mean, the
obviously-
kid, I'm a dad of a daughter that just started driving this year, so the phone thing after school is important to me also. But when she's there in class, she's there in class. And these phones disrupt the rooms, and it's about what these teachers need done, and if it needs to be put in that bag all day, then it needs to be in that bag all day long. And, I mean, I've gotten a text from my daughter during school before, and I asked her, why are you texting? I threatened to text him over there and let him know, but I didn't do it. But, I mean, they're sent there to learn during the day, they're not sent there for anything else. So if they have that phone at the end of the day and can get home safely, then we've allowed that. But during the day, it shouldn't be out and played with or anything. And if something's forgotten at home, well, hey, they forgot it at home, they won't forget it tomorrow. I mean, they should be responsible. They don't need to call us to let us bring this up there or that. I mean, if Mr. Coleman lets them use the phone to call home, then that's his choice.
The only thing I would ask in addition to this is that around end of September, September board meeting, possibly as late as October board meeting, that once whatever we do is passed, that we do a little bit of data at that point to say, hey, we did something very different than what we were doing before for good reason. But how has that affected the day-to-day of operations at these schools? Has it been no harm, no foul, everything's great, or
We
is
need to revisit or whatever.
exactly, because I'm sensitive to everything everyone's saying, but the running of those schools, one little thing changes, and all of a sudden, it can have a lot of unintended
You
consequences.
have poor resources toward that area, and resources that you may or may not have.
You don't know till you know.
Yeah.
So
Ms. Palmer, you had something you were gonna say earlier? I'm sorry.
No, I don't want to say it now.
Well,
I don't have anything to say.
Okay.
Okay, so there was a timeline, Dr. Eloy shared with me that we need to have it passed by, you said the June board meeting, which would be next week.
So it can be in the student handbook,
Okay,
because we hate to have to put an addendum in the student handbook, and then it's a whole thing.
so
Yeah.
is that printed or online? Or
It's
when
both,
is it disseminated?
but we send printed copies home to everyone, and they sign, parents are supposed to sign that back sheet. We also we upload one on everyone's iPad. But yeah, ideally, talking to Jennifer Ingram, ideally y'all would vote next week, and that would be able to be put into the new student handbook.
Okay, so
So the best way to do
what
this
if,
would
what
be.
if?
There
it was
is no
July?
way, there is
I mean,
no.
if it was July, it's still electronic, right, and school hasn't started until August.
Then the printed student handbooks that we traditionally give out to everyone would not be on time.
Okay.
So we have to submit our suggestions or whatever we agree with, all of the board members before the vote for next Thursday.
And I'll work whatever you need to help make that deadline. Can we wait till Tuesday?
Sure. Sure.
I know that my 3 minutes are up. I will tell you that when
You have 20 seconds left.
in discussions with some of the principals, one of their concerns that we haven't addressed is they did not want the parent to be allowed to have the phone put in their hand and then the phone handed back to the student during the school day. If you want to if you come get the phone, that's fine. And then what is the plan if they need it? So
that's where that.
one of the principals, we don't want to reward the student for the parent to come up there. I hope my parent's going to come. I'm going to get it right back. So again, I just hope that you'll find some balance between safety and education. That's your difficult job all the time in everything that you do.
And it's hard to legislate good parenting, you know.
My eyes have been opened that perhaps some parenting styles are different than my own.
Coach Coleman, have we not covered anything that we discussed in the meeting, or do you have anything for us that you want us to?
No, so Principal Stebb, Principal Conde, and I all collaborated on this, the proposal. I think it's up on the board now. We discussed the 3 to 3:30 time period. I'll be honest with you, the short window was meant to be an inconvenience in our discussion because that is one of the deterrents. I don't want to hold cell phones. I don't like having that discussion. It's not pleasant. I've probably done it 400 to 500 times over the last 3 years. I don't think any of us, I will say this, it is a deterrent for a student if they know their cell phone's going to be held. I'm not arguing for or against it. We just upheld policy. We discussed 3 to 4 for the time constraint. There were several issues that came up. If you hold football Fridays, I have to be out of there sometimes before 4 o'clock to get over to the stadium to take care of responsibilities, or if we're on the road, we may or may not have an administrator available every single day till 4. Most days we don't get out of there before 5. But that was one of the discussions that we had because of the time constraint. We could be flexible on that. What we desired was change in behavior. We don't want to hand the cell phone back to a student. That's why we said after school. And we always want a parent to have to be involved. First offense, it's, hey, you guys know the policy, please don't do that again. Hand it back to them. On the second one, it would become a discipline issue. And we want the parent to have to sign off that they had that discussion with us. That way, if there was a third offense, we've got documentation that we've made you aware of these consequences that are coming. The biggest issue is the refusal to give up the phone by the student. That becomes a whole different discipline issue rather than just the original violation.
I do think that may improve, though, with the idea that a parent could come and get it, possibly.
Yes, I think that would definitely improve. And look, I don't think any of the principals really want to hang on to anybody's property. I don't. I will say this, it was a deterrent. So I speed a lot, I drive way too fast. I got a speeding ticket the other day. Had not gotten one in a long time, and I did not realize how expensive they were. It was very harsh, and I have driven much closer to the speed limit. It changed my behavior. It made me think I can't afford that anymore. That's all we're asking, something sensible. I've got daughters. I know exactly what you're saying. Look up Life 360 about every 15 minutes. I want to know where they're at. I completely understand that. I also know if you speak to any teacher in this parish, they'll tell you this is the enemy of what they do every single day in a classroom.
Question.
Whatever the middle ground there is, I'm completely open to.
What would that look like at Niagara Central at 3 o'clock with a parent trying to get on that campus with a car line and bus line and 1,100 kids is missing? What would that look like for them to try to get that phone?
And on average, how many parents a day, like how many people could you possibly have trying to get there between 3 and 3:30?
Well, the hope it would be fewer numbers. Honestly, our by 3:20, our car line traffic is, now don't come the first 2 weeks. First 2 weeks, it's gonna be backed up down the highway. After the first 2 weeks, our car line traffic is almost nil. So 3:30, 3:45, it's easy to get in and out of the office.
But if you have a cutoff at 3:30, they can get there at 3:45, but you can't give them the phone.
Oh, no, at 3:45, at that point in the day, it's not worth an argument for me. I'm gonna hand that cell phone back, and we're gonna go home happy at the end of the day.
Okay.
It's their responsibility to be there by 3:30, but have somebody there.
Well, yes, ma'am, I'll be honest with you, that was part of our discussion of the three principles when we talked. I mean, it is meant to be a little bit of an inconvenience to a parent. If I've gotta leave work to go get my child's cell phone after I've already told them, we're gonna have a different discussion when I get to the house. And
So let's say they don't come get it, and can they get it between 8 to 5, between school hours the next day, or they have to wait till 3
Depends on the
to
policy.
3:30 the next day?
Well, I mean, we have two high school principals, that's where this mainly is gonna be at. I think they should have a say in that on the next day. I mean, it may be more convenient for him
I think
to do something.
At that point, you're holding out of necessity.
Right.
So I would say it still reverts back to that 3 to 4 o'clock or whatever the time period is. But I think that the time is something y'all can, y'all email Ms. Phelps and we can work the nuances of that out. Those aren't the big hills. I think the big hills y'all already overcome and we just work out the details and we present y'all a policy.
I like all the input, I really do, it's been really good.
And I think if we give them a different option with coming at 8 o'clock in the morning, well, I'm not gonna even worry with trying to come get it from 3 to 3:30. I just come at 8 o'clock in the morning, and 8 o'clock in the morning for a school is a whole lot busier than 3 o'clock in the evening. So I think we need to stick with one time. If we're gonna say 8 o'clock in the morning, that's when you come get it. If we're gonna say 3 o'clock, that's gonna be the only period that you can come get it, because we giving too many options with time to get it. But I'm not gonna worry we come and get it at 3:30 if I get off at 5 o'clock and I don't go to work till 9 o'clock the next morning. I'll just show up at 7:30, 8 o'clock to get the phone.
Well, and if you give them back in the morning, you're gonna have more of those parents wanting to give it
In the morning, that's when they gonna come. So it's, because and to me, a school is more busy getting the kids in the morning than getting them out in the evening.
But it's stated in the policy that they don't have access to it during the day if it's in a particular place, and it has to stay there until the end of the day for all of the students. Then, that one. And the other thing, Miss, you stated about the high school, but Ms. Condit said it's a major problem.
Yeah, in junior, right.
The junior high school.
It is, it's more, I'd say more bullying and online messing, whereas the high school, it's some of the same stuff, but it's just more disruptive. But they both have their things, for sure.
Well, if you have any questions for Ms. Phelps or Mr. McGuire, Mr. Gadsden, send them out, but Ms. Phelps has asked for some information. I want to thank the committee for their work, because I mean, there's a lot of parameters they had to pull together to make something work. And so we'll talk about this next Tuesday, and we're going to vote on it, right?
Yes, and if I don't hear from you in a couple of days, I'll text you and remind you.
And may I add, if you're gonna create a policy, I need to have it Monday by noon at the latest.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have a cutoff from when I can touch the agenda.
Mr. Vance?
I'm done.
Thank you for clear report. Board members, do we have anything else? Okay, we'll see y'all next Tuesday.